Summertime is just around the corner, so let's chat travel and travel deals.
Sometimes life just sucks, and sometimes it freaking rocks. We will discuss all the things from family and real estate to travel and just life in general. So take a seat, or don't, you do you, and welcome to the Lambadass Podcast.
Hey friends, this podcast might be a little different than the rest. I'm doing it solo. I wanted to talk travel deals because summer's coming up, and if you know me, if you follow me on social media, you know I love to travel. I actually met with a girlfriend yesterday, and she's like, tell me all the travel things. Where are you going? What are you doing? And so I was telling her all the things that we had planned and what I wanted to do. We even kind of went into next year. Nothing's booked for next year, but kind of like what we were thinking about and stuff like that. And I love to share travel hacks with other people. I love to do that because, one, I think that it is a huge gift that not only you can give yourself, but if you have a family, like you can give to your family. I think that traveling opens people's eyes to different ways of living, different cultures, different foods, things you might not have tried or even thought about trying before. Case in point, my son, this weekend, we were talking about oysters, and I was like, oysters are so nasty. Like, the only ones I can have are the small ones. They have to have this, and that on them. And he goes, yeah, it's kind of like escargot too, for me, and this and that. And it made me, like, in the moment, I was like, that's so cool. Like, my kid knows what escargot tastes like because we've traveled very often and very well with our children. I think the biggest misconception about travel is how expensive it is. Now, can it be expensive? Yes. Another thing that my girlfriend and I, Christy, were talking about yesterday, can it be expensive? Yes, absolutely. But if you know what you're doing and you can find, I shouldn't say that, not if you can find some amazing deals. I also think that the hesitation comes from people not knowing where to look or where to start or whatever. So let me start off by saying, I think it's going to depend on the type of vacation that you want, right? Like, are you looking for adventure? Are you looking to sit on a beach and relax? It's very difficult living in Southern California for me and being like, let's go to another place to sit on another beach. I say that very loosely. It's not that difficult for me, but I can see why for some people that might be difficult. We have beautiful beaches here in California. And I mean, our whole freaking half of, or a quarter side of our state borders an ocean. So you literally can see the water if you're off the 5 freeway. So, I mean, it's awesome. I love our beaches here. I think it's incredible. However, some of the most beautiful waters that I have seen have been in places other than California. A lot of times our water is very, it's not as brown as like Texas, but it's very like, it's very cold. The Atlantic is much, much, much more warm than the Pacific is. It's also like a deep blue, but can also, kind of get murky and stuff like that. So there are crystal blue waters in other portions of the world that are freaking phenomenal. So I love me a good beach vacation. The other thing is if you're looking for something that's more history or historical, or you want to see artifacts and stuff like that, then you need to know that the vacation that you're going on is probably not going to be all that much of a vacation anyways. You're going to constantly be moving. So I think deciphering what type of vacation you want is on the forefront. So once you have that dialed in, the best place, in my opinion, to look for flights is Google Flights. You, in your search engine, literally just put Google space flights. The first one that pops up, click on that, and you can start searching flights. Now, the cool thing about Google Flights is there's 2 things. One is you can actually put on there that you want to track prices. So if you are hard up on dates, if work will only allow you to have, or if you have to bid for your days off work and you only have these dates available, you can put in different searches for those dates and have them track your prices. Right now, I'm currently tracking flights to Iceland. Flights to Iceland right now are very expensive. Flights in general are expensive right now because everybody's starting to book summer travel. Not everybody's like me where I'm already thinking about what I want to do for spring break next year. I can't even look up prices because they're not even available yet. I think it's like 350 days or something like that, 330 days or something. You can't book out a full year. It's almost a full year, but not quite. So I go on Google Flights and I'm tracking it. Well, right now, I only want to fly one way from LA to Iceland. And for 2 people, it's like $1,200. That is insane. I'm not paying $1,200. Did I say $1,200 or $200? Is it $1,200? Okay, cool. It's $1,200 for 2 people to fly. And I'm like, that is ridiculous. I'm not doing that. So I have it on track prices. And I was just telling Sweetie Pie the other day, I'm like, hey, prices are coming down. And it says like the key time, it'll even tell you when like the key time to buy is, generally speaking, of course, is going to be between like July and I think it's at October or something. Now, October, in my opinion, is kind of pushing it because I want to go in December. So it's kind of pushing it a little too close to December for me. And I don't want to be stuck without a flight and having to pay high prices. So when it gets somewhere around like $900, under $1,000 is probably when I'll pull the trigger and book. Now, there are less expensive places to go. Case in point, I am going to Hawaii. Sweetie Pie and I decided we needed a couple days. So we're going to Hawaii for 6 days, 5 or 6 days. And what I did, actually, funny story. He tells me, he goes, listen, don't book any more vacations. Like we need to rein this in. Like we need to save money. We need to buy another investment property. We need. And I was like, listen, I shut my laptop down and I go, I love you very much, but I have to travel. You cannot take traveling away and put something else in there because we need that. That's something that we love to do. If you tell me that I'm not going to travel because I'm going to buy an investment property, that does not tickle my fancy. Like I'm not here for it. So I said, I just need to sell more houses and you just need to sell, he sells commercial air conditioning units. So I said, you just need to sell more. I'll sell more. We'll make more money and then we can do both. Okay. And he looks at me like I'm crazy because I probably am. But my goal in life is to travel and see all the things. Even if it's a place that I've been to before, there's a different space for every vacation. Some vacations I bring my kids. Some vacations I don't. Some vacations I bring my kids and it sucks. And sometimes it's great. And sometimes, everything can just be different dependent upon where you're going anyway. So I feel like if I go to a place a second time, it's either because I had such a wonderful experience that I want to experience it again, or maybe it wasn't all that great and I'm trying to relive it, a better experience. So anyhow, I tell him, I said, I feel like we need a couple days in Hawaii. And he goes, all right, book it. This is all through text, by the way. All right, book it. Mind you, he had just got done telling me that we need to save our money. So I said, okay, so I go on and I go on Expedia. You guys, I really love Expedia. You can work your way up to have points on Expedia. And the great thing about Expedia is when you get to a resort, if they have extra rooms that are like nicer than the one that you booked, they will always upgrade you. So my number one tip is always book the least expensive room when you get there. If you don't get upgraded automatically, ask for what the upgrade is, because a lot of times it's significantly different and significantly less than what they were initially going to charge you on whatever site you're booking on. So anyways, so I go on Expedia and it tells me, give us the PIN that we sent to your email. And I'm like, shoot, because it's David's Expedia account. So I texted him and I said, hey, Sweetie Pie, give me the number that Expedia sent to your email. So he texted over to me and I'm like, oh, he wants me to book this. Okay. And so I go on and I look, and to go to Hawaii, flights and hotel, it was like $1,200 per person. So $2,400, call it 25. Okay. $2,500. And I was like, I could probably get this cheaper. I'm going to wait. So I did. I waited. I was not impulsive. And I was at the office the following week. Thank God I had gotten the information from David on Expedia, because I logged on to Expedia and the same week and everything was now $860 per person. So call it $900. We are now going for $1,800 versus $2,500. So by waiting a week, I saved $700. So I was like, oh, we're booking this. So like I looked at the girls in the office and I was like, hey, nobody's going on vacation this week, right? And they're like, nope, we're good. Okay, I'm bouncing for a couple days. So I book it and I send him a picture of it and I text it to him and I said, hey, happy birthday to us, because our birthdays again are a day apart. So I'm like, happy birthday to us. This is where we're going. Well, what I had sent him was just like the congratulations, you're booked, and like the itinerary number. It didn't say where we were going, when we were going, or what we were doing or anything. So he's like, I don't even know what this is. Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And so I said, I booked Hawaii. And he's like, are you crazy? And I said, first of all, you told me last week that I could book this. He's like, yeah, but that was last week. I said, you never told me I couldn't. So needless to say, if you wait things out and you price things out, or you at least have an idea in your head of how much you want to pay, I think that helps as well, because you can really tailor any vacation to any budget. I mean, even if it's a road trip, granted, gas is extremely expensive. So I would really run the numbers on that compared to what it is to fly somewhere. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. Europe. I love Europe. I love Europe so much. I was not a real big history buff. I had an amazing history teacher in high school that I loved and adored. But I was not really a big history buff at all. Like, I don't know when the French Revolution was. I don't know any of that stuff, but I could tell you all the things about Marie Antoinette. And I could tell you, where she was in the lineup of all of her siblings and stuff like that, and who she married and what she was gifted and stuff like that, because now I'm a massive dork after traveling to Europe and seeing all of these things. So Europe is one of my favorite places to go. My absolute favorite place in the world is Paris. I love Paris. I love the outskirts of Paris. I love France in general. France, y'all get a bad rap because people think that you are rude. And yes, some of you are rude, but so are Americans. So I look at it as though it's really no different. They look at it like, why the hell don't you speak French? But if we're being honest, my American friends, if you sit here and see somebody speaking Spanish or French or any other language other than English, you're like, why the hell aren't they speaking English? We're in America. I get it. And both are right. If you're in America, you should probably speak English. If you go to France, you should probably at least try to learn the language. Like, you people should try to learn, little phrases here and there. I think it goes all ways, just so we're blatantly clear. So yeah, do they get fed up with people? Yes. And, they don't necessarily like our culture in all the ways and stuff like that. I get it. We don't necessarily like theirs either. What French people are, though, is they're very direct. Do you know what you want to eat? No, I don't think so. And they walk away. You answered their question. They're done talking to you. Here in the States, we're like, oh, okay, well, don't worry. I'm going to go wash my hands and see what the other table wants. And I'm going to do this and do that. And then I'll be back. French people are just very direct and to the point. Okay, sounds good. And then they walk away. Okay, do you know what you want to eat yet? So I think they're very direct. And I think that because Americans were not as direct as often, I think that is what gives them the bad rap more than them just not liking Americans. That's just my personal opinion. Anyways, so I love Paris. I love all things French. Flying from LA to Paris is inexpensive, in my opinion. I can get a one-way ticket to Paris from LA for $200, $217 to be exact. I just priced this out. Now, does it depend on when you can travel? Yes, of course. So is traveling on a Tuesday or a Wednesday cheaper than traveling on a Friday? Yes, 100%. So you definitely have to be flexible in your travel dates. But if you have that luxury, then you can get some amazing deals. Now, if you live in Florida or Texas or Kansas or wherever, there might be a cheaper place for you to fly into than Paris. So the key is finding what European city is cheapest to fly into if Europe is on your bucket list. It might be Munich, Germany. It might be Spain. It might be different places. Heathrow, London is also a really good one to fly into as well. You can get some great flights into London. Gatwick is just outside of London as well. Well, it's in London. It's a part of London, but it's a much, much, much smaller airport than Heathrow is. So a lot of times you can get great deals into that because only certain airlines fly in there. So once you are in Europe, it is very inexpensive and very easy to get around. The metro in Paris will probably run you, depending on what arrondissements you want to go to. So how far out of the city you want to go to will depend on how much your metro ticket is. So it can run you anywhere about €6, give or take. So if you're in London, it's going to be about the same thing. If you want to go further out to the outskirts of London, you're looking at, 6 or 7 pounds. So that's very inexpensive, in my opinion, to get to and from places, and they walk everywhere. So it's just a much healthier lifestyle. Driving, yes, while it's a thing, it's really not a thing over there. The only time when I'm in Europe that we will Uber is if I am running late or the trains are on strike. They do go on strike often. I will then take an Uber then, or to and from airports. To and from airports, it's just easier, especially with all the luggage and stuff. I have tried taking the train from Paris to the airport, and after standing there for a while and going, I wonder if they're on strike because nobody was coming. They were. And I had me, David, I had my kids, 3 of the 4 boys were with us. And then, my parents, it was crazy. So we ended up going up. And the cool thing, though, about going to and from city center of really anywhere in Europe to the airport is it's generally a fixed rate. So you want to go from city center of Munich to the airport, it's this much. Munich, by the way, their rail system is so easy. You can go straight from your hotel just about to the airport. It like dead ends into the airport. It is so easy to travel around in Germany, in my opinion. So traveling is very inexpensive. If you Uber, you're looking at what? I don't know, 65 euro to go from city center to the airport. Whereas if you take the train's going to run you $7. So definitely figure that out. Find the ways to get to where you want to go to. There's a lot of research on your end when traveling. But I'm sure if you were listening to this, if you don't know me personally, you know somebody in your life who travels, I would highly recommend getting in touch with them. They're going to tell you where to go, where to eat, what to see, what to do. Having been all over Europe, I can tell you firsthand, there are some fantastic restaurants. The way that you stay there is also imperative. If you are a younger person, hostels are incredible. Don't believe anything you hear about the hostel movies. Did you see those, Billy? Okay, I did not, but I don't like terrifying movies. When David graduated high school, him and Brian Gorcock went and totally toured all over Europe, and that's where they stayed. They stayed in hostels. So hostels are a great way to travel, a great way to see things. If you are a family or maybe I don't want to say an older person, a more mature person who doesn't necessarily want to stay in a hostel, you can get great Airbnbs. My girlfriend Nicole on my team, she actually stayed at an Airbnb that was a hotel but had its own, but it was a bedroom and a bathroom in a hotel. So it wasn't a hotel like for like the Ritz-Carlton, but it also wasn't an Airbnb where she had like the whole thing. So on Airbnb, they do room rentals as well. And it's not necessarily in somebody's house. It's in a big home that they have turned into an individualized Airbnb. I hope that makes sense. So you can go on there and pick places that way. It's a heck of a lot less expensive because a whole Airbnb, you're cleaning the whole damn house. A room, it's just like a hotel room. Other advice I have if you are traveling abroad, even if you're not traveling abroad and you're traveling in the States, a fantastic app. By the way, I'm not paid by any of these people, but if they choose to sponsor me, I am here for you. Viator is a fantastic website or app to have on your phone. I remember we were sitting at a cafe in Paris. We had just gotten there, checked in and everything. And we checked in, I think we got through customs relatively quickly. And so we were like ready to go at like 5. Well, in Europe, just a heads up, they don't normally eat dinner until like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Like that's when it starts. So I'm like, what the heck are we going to do for the next 4 hours? And so I went on Viator and found an amazing tour that you can do. We went and did wine tasting and then ended up hanging out with the people afterwards, becoming Instagram friends. And now it's like a thing. So there's so many things that you can do that are relatively inexpensive. Also, another great resource on Airbnb, at the top, you can actually click experiences. So you can say, I'm looking for an experience tonight for 2 people at this time. What do you have? And it'll populate what they've got going on. And then you can pick from there. Again, it's another great way to see little parts of big cities. Last time we were in Paris, we learned how to make madeleines, like the cookies, because that's what they're known for. So we went and we made those, and we went to a mommy's house. That's what they call their grandparents. We went to like a grandma's house, and it was incredible. It was so much fun, and it's so neat to walk through the architecture and kind of live in that moment. I remember going to Italy. We went to Milan, and then just outside of Milan, we took the train into Parma, stayed at a little Airbnb, or no, it wasn't an Airbnb. It was a bed and breakfast. And we traveled throughout. It was awesome. We found this little cooking class. And a lot of times you're going into these people's homes. So they're not $150 per person. You're probably looking more towards like $50 per person. But I figure I'm going to spend that at dinner anyways. So I might as well make it an experience where I'm making my own pasta. So there's so many different things in different ways. When you are overseas, especially, food is just better. It's so much better overseas. The produce is fantastic. The best mangoes I've ever had in my life were in Mexico, and now I'm addicted. And I will only, it's so funny. I don't even know where California gets their mangoes from, but I have to see the sticker on it that says like, imported from Mexico. And then I'm like, these are good mangoes. In taking my kids, I have to tell you, the greatest thing about traveling is showing them other ways of life. I remember when our kids were really little, we were in Mexico, and there was a woman who was selling her bowls. and she had her babies with her, and she was selling these beautiful clay bowls that she had painted. And we were walking by, and Connor goes, Mama, why is she selling those bowls? And I said, oh, because that's her job, baby. If she doesn't sell those bowls, her babies don't eat. And he goes, well, let's go buy all of them then so her babies can eat. And I just thought that was so sweet. Here in California, in our, at least the neighborhood that we live in, it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's clean, it's all these things. And then when you see a woman, and that's her life, that's what people have to do to survive. And it also teaches them the hustle of life, right? Like standing out there and selling products to people who want them or need them. And it's a great way, in my opinion, to really broaden your horizons. So just to recap, because I was kind of all over the place. Traveling can be very inexpensive, depending on what your definition of inexpensive is. Now, can it be expensive? Also, yes. You can use points to travel. Points are phenomenal if you have a great credit card. If you don't know how to use points to your benefit, there's a couple people on Instagram. I will actually put in the comments a couple people that I follow, just so you guys can kind of look around. And I'm sure there are far more. Zachary Burrell, I think, is one of them. I'm probably messing up his name. Again, I'll put it in the comments, but he's amazing. He'll tell you like what cards to get and how to do it. So if you're new to traveling, you can start somewhere. If you're a little more seasoned, but you're still apprehensive about maybe traveling out of the country, or you can always set up travel agents too, you guys. I know a lot of people think that they went by the wayside. They did not. They are still alive and well. I have a friend right now that I follow on social media who, last I checked, he was in Italy, I think. He keeps tagging his travel agent. They are alive and well. Highly recommend you reach out to them too. Give them your budget. Let them know what you'd like to do. And then they'll set up things. The cool thing about travel agents as well, totally to plug them, is if you say, yeah, my budget's, $5,000. And then they say, okay. And then it's like, okay, well, here it's $5,600. This is what we're doing. You could say, hey, put me at a lower star hotel or whatever. To me, hotels are the least of my worries. As long as it's clean and it's safe, I'm good. I don't care. I would love it if the bed was comfortable, but to be honest with you, even if it's not, I'm probably not going to be in the room all that often. And even if I'm out all day, especially in Europe, if I'm out all day and then I come back to the room, even if the bed's uncomfortable, I'm still going to sleep. So as long as I feel safe and as long as it's clean, there's no hair anywhere, it's like not nasty, take the hotel. Read reviews. That will be your biggest downfall if you don't read reviews. So highly, highly, highly recommend that you read reviews on wherever it is that you're staying or whatever it is that you're doing. So again, just to recap, travel with your kids. I used to hear when I was younger, why do you travel with your kids? They're never going to remember it. Well, one, I'm paying for it. Two, the only person that needs to remember it is me. I have those memories with my children, even if my children don't. And traveling gives them something that a classroom can't. So I still recommend that you travel with your children. Anyways, be sure you pick out the vacation that you want. Know what you're going for. Know that you're going to be going crazy like a chicken with your head cut off in Europe. Just as a sidebar, if you do go to Europe, highly recommend that you plan a day, depending on how long you're going for. Have a couple really busy days and then a day off. And by a day off, I mean just a day of leisure, walking around, nothing planned. You're going shopping, you're going to the beach that day, you're going to hang out at a water park, whatever it is, something relaxing, and then another day or two of craziness, and then another day of relaxing. Whatever relaxing looks like to you, that has helped us get through many vacations where we're abroad for long periods of time. There's also a couple different travel sources that you can follow on Instagram. Again, I'll also tag them in the comments so that you guys can follow them and see what they do. I follow a family that travels all over the world, and you'd be shocked how much they can travel for. So don't let the cost and the unknown scare you. I think if you can budget for it effectively, kind of get an idea of what things are going to run you, and then from there you decide where it is that you want to go, and you can start doing some research and stuff, and always ask questions. You guys, there's so many blogs out there, there's so many people on social media who genuinely want to help people travel more. As Americans, they say that we live to work. We need to be working to live, you guys. So highly recommend travel. As always, I'm here if you guys need me, if you have any questions. Before I completely say sayonara, cruising. Cruising is a very good and effective way of traveling. And a lot of people that I've spoken to who don't travel like to tell me how much they're going to hate cruising. Stop. Like, get out of your own head. Stop telling people that you don't like doing something when you've never even left the country, or how dangerous a place is when you've never left your house. Like, enough. If you don't want to travel, that's one thing. But if you do, cruising is a very effective and can be a very inexpensive and budget-friendly way to travel. We travel often. Via cruising, whether it's just myself and my husband or as a family, it's very conducive to seeing a lot of places for minimal costs in comparison to if I were to go to those places individually. Also, the great thing about cruising, you can put a deposit down and you can make payments. So like if I'm looking at a cruise 2 years from now, I can put a $50 deposit or $25 per person or something like that, whatever that cruise line charges. And then every month I can make $100, $100, $100. After 2 years, my $2,500 cruise is now paid off. So I hope you got some good tidbits at the very least. If you guys have any questions, of course, ask away. I am happy to help and I am readily available. Was that okay? Mm-hmm. I know it's kind of all over the place though, huh? Okay, was it? Yeah.